Welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be about how I go about crafting worlds for my game, or how I crafted my world for my game, and how I've set up each biome and the different levels. So let's get right into it. This is the step that I take when in first creating the game. I got a minimal viable product already made. The gameplay loop is good. Now I'm going to create an actual world. So the first thing you got to do is you got to draft up a map of the entire world. So for example, this is just an example here of what one of these drafts could look like. It also look a little different depending on how you do it, but let's just say in this game you start in the grassland and then you can branch out to here. This all comes later. You can go there. So once you get a draft out of the entire map, the world, this will actually come in play later, but we'll get back to that. So now that you got a draft of the entire world, of the different areas and biomes you want to have, then your next step is you're going to want to develop timeline. And this is not a timeline for your lore and your story. This is a timeline of the different items you want the player to be able to find and different bosses that are going to be in the world. Something like that would look like this. So you start the game and then top to bottom fight boss. Gonna fight boss 1, get the double jump ability, and there's gonna be a locked door. You gotta find a key, and then here, just in an optional area, you would be able to find grapple ability, fight another boss, and get the glide ability. So this is just a very simple. This would pretty much just be what one biome would look like for me, but you would have to do this for your entire game, and it would help if you did chunk it like this into biomes. You do this biome and this biome, but you want them to be interconnected, and the abilities to building an array of abilities that actually work towards one goal, and they come back in the different biomes of the world. But so once you get a timeline like this, then you're gonna want to map out, well, actually I'm getting ahead of myself. Once you get a timeline like this, you're going to want to develop the abilities, but two steps can be intertwined. You develop this timeline at the same time that you're developing the abilities and the bosses and whatever it is for that you're including in this timeline. So you'd be developing the double jump ability and the glide ability and the grapple ability at the same time or after. But once you get your timeline complete and all the abilities and stuff, I mean, you don't have to get all of them, but once you get a good amount of the abilities developed and created in your preferred game engine or whatever it is, wherever you're making your game, you're going to want to map out each level. I guess combine all the rooms into a complete level. So something like that would be like this. So you'd start, for example, you could have player start here, and then you can kind of work how it would go, and then based off your timeline, which this is a little different than the timeline I set up, but just a general idea, can show branching pathways, and then bosses and gaining abilities, then just branching pathways again, just to map out the general shape you want the rooms to have and the rooms they connect into, and that'd be helpful. It makes it so much easier when it comes to actually creating the levels and biomes and the entire world, to have it all mapped out, and then you just gotta implement it, and you don't have to actually really think on the spot how you want it. You already know how you want the entire thing to be. You just gotta do it. But once you have it all mapped out like this, then you implement it. Then the final step would be just to be testing the different rooms and then reviewing it based off of your results that you get while testing it, and then you tweak it and adapt it to better fit what you want. But that's the main thing, is just iterating is step 5. Just working on making it better, slightly tweaking it to be the best game that you can make. And then some just level design tips from me. Maybe I'll bring this up into a fully detailed video just on this, but like for level design, if this is the first biome in the game or first section, and you spawn in, this is like the tutorial, this section here. How I would set it up is, you would have like your basic jumping mechanics or whatever, but you don't have, the player should not be able to die. There's no threat while they first learn it, and then you go on to the next room and now there is a threat, and then you just build up the challenge gradually, and then maybe you switch to a new mechanic that you want to teach, and then you can switch back to the old one, just more advanced, and then you eventually can combine the two mechanics that you were teaching gradually and make a more coherent, compelling level design to keep the players engaged. And like I said, creating interesting combinations of different mechanics and enemies and different just objects in the game. And the best way I like to do that would be through, you have a grid like this of your different abilities, and you would have, let's go here, and you'd have mechanic 1 in both of these spots, and then mechanic 2 in this spot. That's hard to see. But the point is that then you go through, okay, we're going to have a mixture of mechanic 2 and mechanic 1 here, and then double up on mechanic 1 here, and then this same pairing down here. But you do this for all of your mechanics, however many you have, mechanic 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. Then you have this big table that shows different combinations, and you can just test them out however you see fit. I really like doing it that way, just give different combinations and different options that you might not have thought of otherwise. And I kind of slightly mentioned it earlier, but drawing off of past levels / rooms is key. So like you learn the double jump ability in these sections of the game or whatever right after you get it, and then they bring back the things you teach here after teaching a little bit of the glide ability. Then you mix the glide and the double jump ability to make more, like I just said, interesting combinations, but you draw those mechanics back. And you could do this in later biomes as well, obviously, to connect the different biomes together, that they're not like two separate games where in this biome you have the glide and the double jump, this biome you have ability A and B, and then different abilities in a different biome. A more coherent world would be you got to use different abilities from different biomes for different sections that you've already explored and gotten the abilities. So those are just a couple tips that I have for that. But that's really it for this video. That's how I develop these worlds. Just a quick recap. You want to map out the world, then you want to create a timeline of all the abilities and items that the player gets and the bosses they fight, and then you also included in this step is developing those abilities to greater see how they work, test them out, and then the next step would be to map out each room for each level, and then testing and iterating on those rooms and that layout after you implement them into your actual game. And in all of this, these are, when you initially do this, it doesn't have to look pretty. It can just be gray blocks that are the floors and the ceilings and walls. You gotta be able to quickly put something out there, test it, and quickly change it. So that's all I have for this video. As always, if you enjoy the content, it would be greatly appreciated if you liked and subscribed and left feedback in the comments if you have any. And thank you all. This is RBC Mr. Rhodes signing off for now.